Hooking it up right now. I think I hit the wrong button too. Oh my God. Hello, everybody. Sorry, we had technical glitch as usual. I'm not too savvy on the tech side. Maybe Jack, the computer software guru, could learn me some skills.
I'm not a
Or
software
engineer.
guru, dude.
Computer engineer guy.
No, I
Right?
do electronics.
Or
Like,
electronic engineer. My bad. Well, you're a
yeah,
little more savvy on the tech than me. I know that.
yeah. But
How you doing, Jack?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I don't think we're live. I'm still at the same page, and we're not here.
We're live though, because somebody just
Maybe
shared
there's a
my
delay.
link. I think. Yep, it's got the wrong. I hit the wrong button as usual, dude. Yeah, I mean, anybody that finds this show right there in and of itself is a win-win. I mean, because you're one hell of a sleuth to find me, because I confuse myself at times.
Yeah, Mr. Mensa's saying he can't find us.
Yeah,
I'm on the chat for the original stream.
tell them we're over. We're just going to another stream, and I wish I knew the link for that one. I could share it.
Oh, he's got the stream. Mensa shared the link.
Okay, good. Sorry, guys. I'm horrible at it. I'm sorry. And I've been running my tail off today because I've worked, I don't know, 13 hours. And I've got a pulled groin. I'm just in bad shape today.
We're frozen on the stream.
Huh?
Now.
We're frozen?
Yeah.
Thank you guys for posting the link. We're not frozen.
We are on my thing. Anyway, I'm going to get off YouTube and just talk, and hopefully it's working.
Good. All right. Yeah. So Jack wanted to come on and talk. I did too, but you know, I've dropped the ball on my computer and everything else today. So I apologize. Everything's a cluster F today. So please forgive me. Jack has some things he'd like to share about, what was it, the Secret Book of John and the Apocryphon?
Yeah. I've been reading it this last week, and it's brilliant. Pretty much to recapitulate it. I mean, yeah, it's so good. But there's like the second part of it where it just lists a bunch of names. I think it lists like 365 names, and these are all different entities that were responsible for the creation of the different parts of the human body when like the first Adam is created. So it talks about like all sorts of stuff like that. But the point is, the best bit about it is when it talks about the one and the descriptions it gives. And from my from what I gather, it's the best scriptural description of oneness or paroma that I've read. I don't think there's anything that kind of comes close because it's very specific and it's playing around with the semantics, but it's like fucking hitting each word like on point. It's like a semantic tightrope kind of thing. And one of the words that really sticks out in its descriptions of the divine is incorruptibility. That's such a good word. I've been thinking about that word. It's a really good word. I mean, what kind of thoughts or emotions does that word evoke in you, Steve?
Which word?
Incorruptibility.
Incorruptibility. What it invokes in me is unable to be corrupted.
It's a good word. Well, this is
But
it.
it's pretty intense when you lay your head on it for a minute.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. Um, yeah, I was reading Die on Fortune as well. The Cosmic Doctrine, I think it's called. I think it's called The Cosmic Doctrine. And again, that's a very good book. It's kind of a bit weird, kind of a bit more theosophical or occult in certain places. But her description of God and the eternal is very good. She basically, it's kind of the same as Plato. She talks about how like God simply is and like complete, you know. So like, that word
Well,
complete comes up.
isn't that saying that, the complete is everything and everybody and everyone's interpretation of that one thing?
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the comments. There's like someone talking about the elite, Shockwave's talking about the elite, and it's just like it makes me think like, you know, this world is extremely corruptible, and if you take away the element of time, there's also mental corruptibility and like the corruption of evil and that kind of thing, and it's yeah, it's interesting how I don't know. I find a lot of solace in
You
the
see
word
the comments, how
incorruptible.
everybody's talking about everything's in chaos. And, what else would happen if, okay, say you're schizophrenic and you're going off on the deep end with
Bill
the negative
Gates.
aspect of your persona, and
Oh,
you're
oh, what you mean in a psychosis? Like,
yeah, in a psychosis, and you're running off the rails in the negative. And what's the only thing that's going to pull you back? Something that's going to floor you, right?
well,
That's what's
don't you?
happening in our society. The further we get from our true, honest truth, the worse it's going to get. And by everybody pointing at it and poking it like it's going to do some good is not going to happen. It's not going to change that way. How do you change it?
I actually think that like as time goes on in the cosmos, obviously, like you've got the whole entropy thing, but it seems as if things actually are becoming increasingly ordered rather than increasingly chaotic. Think about it. It's like to use it in the context of a global conspiracy. Like
Or a
let's
new
just
world order?
okay, let's sit in this arena for a minute, and then we'll the word incorruptible will eject us from it like a rocket. But anyway, so that's why it's a good word. But essentially, right, it's like, hold on, what was my point? Where was I going with this? We were talking about
You were talking about
New
how
World Order, New
I
World
was
Order.
saying the further we get from our truth, the worse it's going to get to pull us back to that truth.
Yeah, it seems like things are becoming increasingly ordered to me.
Yes, that's
And
what you
this
were.
is what I think. I think the longer the time goes in the cosmos, so from t equals 0 to, I wouldn't say infinity because I think you can measure it. There's a limited time before a cosmic loop or reset. As that time advances, I think things are becoming more and more ordered. I think things become more ordered, and that's like what we're seeing with
That's what
the New
that
World Order is actually the increasing order, because rigid order is tyranny, right? Rigid order is one of the negative aspects of Hod in Kabbalah. So it's this mercurial aspect where over intellectualizing, not enough emotion, and like more automated. Like our society is more automated by like electronics and software and big tech and all this surveillance and everything. So it seems like the more time you spend in the womb before you kind of, are born, um, actually the more order it is that you have to deal with. And in I think, is it in Zen Buddhism, they should say you should have one foot in the order and one foot in the chaos simultaneously, and basically combine the two in reconciliation of some sort. So yeah, well, I mean, what do you think about that idea?
that's that's perfect. It makes perfect sense because in that formula of 1n is to infinity as the
Yeah, I
closer
know what you're talking about.
the closer you get to infinity, the closer you get to the singularity. You know what I mean?
Zero. Yeah.
How
Yeah.
how the in and the out are
Yeah.
coexisting, but
So you're
it
talking
makes
about an
perfect sense
infinitely
because
convergent
we're getting closer to
series.
the one.
Pardon?
We're getting closer to the one, the singularity. The middle, the single, the
Yeah, well, it depends what direction. If we're going singularity, so it's an infinite convergent series, right? So it's
yes,
getting
that's
closer and
that.
closer to zero. 1/n is approaching zero
Yes,
with time or iteration in the
yes.
process. So yeah, and it just makes me think of like, fuck man, you think of all this like kind of futuristic sci-fi stuff. It's like totally like order, like there's more order. I think although we deal with increasing entropy, which is supposedly increasing chaos, there's also like this aspect of increasing order, maybe to deal with the increasing empathy. It's actually like a cat and mouse thing. You know, I don't physicists like think of it as in entropy, whereas everything will eventually end and disappear. Maybe that's correct in like the whole
Well,
span of the age or the aeon or
yeah,
whatever.
T equals zero state.
Yeah, like the maximum loop of time
Yeah,
universally possible.
the aeon. Yeah.
Yeah, but I still think there's, yeah, I see things getting more ordered, but then again, it's still chaotic as well. There's definitely a polarity between the two. It
From
seems
our
like,
limited view as human beings, you can just see in our just limited view of our history that we remember because somehow have left clues to it. If you look at just that evidence alone, you can see that there's a loop and in a micro sense. So that would you would have to think that it's in a macro as well, right?
yeah, well, in the macro sense, from the cosmogony to the, say, the death of the cosmos, whatever you want to call it, or the dissipation of
The back to
black
T
holes
zero state.
due to Hawking, yeah, and the return to the zero state. Like, so if you think about it like that, um, it's like there's this throughout that like T maximum time, that maximum cosmic time loop. There's this increasing like cosmic arms race between order and between chaos,
Yes.
and like they both. Do you know what I mean? In
Yeah,
order to
Shiva.
like, so the whole thing's still fucking stable. Do you know what I mean?
Shiva.
It's like a battle between Shiva and Shakti, and like the pressure's building and building. Maybe maybe but I always thought like, and I don't know if this is true, but it's kind of a dark thought that like the more lifetimes it took you to complete the great work, the harder it got each time. I don't know if that's true. Maybe it gets easier because you assimilate wisdom and knowledge, right? I
I don't know
hope it
about
would
that
get
because I
easier
think
with time.
the closer you, it's just like we were just saying, the closer
Oh,
you
fuck
get
it.
to the inner, the more you see of the outer and the more you deal with on the outer and vice versa.
God, I think it does get harder with time. Maybe.
Well, not harder, but more complicated.
Yes, definitely more complicated and convoluted.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's entropy in and of itself. As a system decays or gets older, the entropy ensues. And it's
Yeah.
like anything else in our life. I was thinking about that as I was driving today because I have a free truck and I drove like 89 miles, to go where I was working today, and I
That's
drove.
a long drive.
Huh?
That's a long drive.
Yeah, it was a good hour and a half it took me, but I mean I was doing 80 miles an hour, and I'm thinking, you know why? And all these brand new trucks are passing me, and I'm thinking, these guys are paying the same amount for a vehicle that I'm paying for my whole life. You know what I mean? For my whole monthly bill on, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because people are putting a big chunk of change into their rides, and into the cars. And I'm thinking, what is the sense of that?
There's something, see, where I live in Southern California, right? There's like so many new car dealerships all over the fucking place.
Yes.
Like they're everywhere. And I'm like, how are people still buying the? I don't know. I don't. People. I don't know. People.
But
like
my point is that the whole entropy thing came into my mind, and it's like even the stuff, everything goes the way of gone in the physical sense. And what gives all of that stuff life? All of the material world life. We do. Our perspective does. The
You could
observer.
say it's God,
Huh?
or you could say simply it's God.
Well,
to
that's us. That's
simplify that.
everybody. In essence, right? I mean, you know, unless you're ignorant to it and then you're considered, you know, to yourself the devil. But I mean, you know, but we won't get into all that stuff because the convoluted religions of our minds, you know, and what we think religion is and what we think this is and what we think that is just adds to the chaos. And, you know, through that chaos is what gets us the order.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
But like I said, I do see like a cosmic arms race between the
yeah,
two of them.
betwixt forces, yep.
But I guess eventually one will overcome the other. I mean, I guess eventually chaos overcomes order in a return to the primordial chaos. And then the new cosmic order would commence. I think it must have taken a long time in like Earth years, if you think of how many like times the Earth can orbit the sun. Like it must take a hell of a long time for like the original Big Bang to the cosmos to like expand and galaxies to form and stars to form and all this stuff. This has taken an immensely long time. You're talking like Googleplex years, something like that. But I think it's still a calculable figure. So yeah.
How do you think that whole setup works? Do you think the fact that there is time is only because of our observable or our observer stance on reality and what reality really is? You know, do you think we are time without our observation or our
Sorry, you'll have to say that again. I just got distracted because Liz is in the chat, but I'm just going to ignore her and continue. Do you know what? I'm just going to go on Zoom and ignore the chat. Sorry, Steve. What are you saying? I apologize.
I forget it. That's all right.
What did you
Who is
say?
the guy on the right with the Australian accent? What?
I have no idea.
All right. Why
But-
why do a lot of people think they are Cleopatra? Because her consciousness is out there, and some of the water she had connection with is in other people. Now, water carries genetic memory. In a way, you're correct because water is everything. Because water, the waters of noon, you know, the primordial quote unquote chaos of the unmanifest potential of everything is hydrogen, water, you know.
Yeah, H2O.
It's water. And that's why everything in an esoteric sense is colored blue when it comes to creation in the cosmos, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
If you look up all of the gods of Egypt, they were always blue, right?
Yeah,
Except
but
for who?
yeah, that's true. But isn't like
Cyrus was green, right?
yeah, Krishna's blue as well, which is interesting. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with blue as a color.
Blue is because of the water.
We have blue and red.
Red is
Yep.
the light.
Well,
You know, red is the spiritual lamb.
I'm thinking this in terms of Kabbalah. If you think of Kabbalah with the blue on Hesed and the red on Geburah, it's almost like, I don't know. It's interesting to think about.
And what do those two colors make?
Yellow.
Blue and red?
Yeah.
They make purple.
I've got to put my phone on airplane mode because sorry about this. I'm getting interrupted.
Well, here's a test for you, brother. You know,
Yeah.
to ignore the negative.
Yeah, negative, you could say. Jesus. So anyway, yeah. So let's go back to the the secret book of John, right? Because it's worth reading. Okay, so this is the secret book of John, but I'm just going to read out the lists. So it says, the one is a sovereign that has nothing over it. It is God, parent, father of the all, the invisible one that is over the all, that is incorruptible. See, that's why I got this word in my head. That is pure light, which no eye can gaze. The one is the invisible spirit. We should not think of it as a God or like a God, for it is greater than a God, because it has nothing over it and no Lord above it. See, in that sentence there, Steve, there's the reconciliation between paganism and monotheism in that sentence, like brilliantly described. We should not think of it as a God or like a God, for it is greater than a God because it has nothing over it. So it's like pure sovereignty. See what I mean?
Yeah.
Very interesting that statement is, and it's very direct as well. There's no real need to kind of see. This is why I really like about the Apocrypha of John, is because even though it gets a bit weird and wacky with names and stuff later on in the book, this initial bit is like excellent. So more, what else does it say? It says, blah, blah, blah. It does not exist within anything inferior to it, since everything exists within it, for it established itself. Okay, that's what was I saying about it being easy and direct to read? That's actually quite, you got to think about that. So it says, I'll read it again. It says, it does not exist within anything inferior to it, since everything exists within it itself.
Yeah, that's like saying that God is in the earthworm, but earthworm is not God.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about that, actually. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
accurate.
we are all God, we all have God in us, but we're not, doesn't make us God.
Yeah, we're actually within God ourselves.
Yes, yes.
So that's what it's. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. So it goes on. It is eternal since it does not need anything. So there's the idea of completion. I actually says, for it is absolutely complete in the next sentence. It's never lacked anything in order to be completed by it. Rather, it is always absolutely complete in light. Very interesting. And then there's a list that follows. It's illimitable, since there is nothing before it to limit it. Unfathomable, since there is nothing before it to fathom it. Immeasurable, since there was nothing before it to measure it. Invisible, since nothing has seen it. So, like, on the immeasurability, you can't actually measure infinity, can you? Like, infinity is by definition immeasurable.
Yeah,
Surely.
just like God is ineffable.
Yeah. Well, see, we're like going down a semantic road here,
And that's
where
exactly what the point is, right?
right, yeah, but it's been defined accurately, I'd say. It's not loose, it's not being twisted about and poked and played with, so it loses its original concept.
We've got a good example in the chat right now, like Shockwave is talking about plasmoids and clumping of electrons, and for for him a black hole to me, or for him a black when it's a black hole to me is a plasmoid for him. You know what I mean? And that's just fine. It doesn't care what you call it, because what we put on it doesn't make it what it is. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it does convolute things. And that is the whole Tower of Babel, right? The whole Babylon, the whole,
Yeah,
I think that's what builds the veil, man.
yeah. Babylon sounds very similar to Barbello. There's like the
Right.
double B.
And that's this world, right? Or this training ground or proving ground or the mindset or the mind space.
Yeah.
Correct?
No. So yeah, shall I continue? There's more on this list here, Steve. We just went through immeasurable since there was nothing before it to measure it. So you never get to the end of God. Invisible since nothing has seen it. So there's this unseen element which kind of relates to how God and the mind and mentalism.
Yeah, I gotta say this, dude. I gotta
Go on.
repeat what Thoth just said. Thoth says, I have no opinion on black holes since I don't have one around to look at, or the one that poop comes out of. Well, we are just like black holes, in my opinion, because we consume matter until we eventually pop and evaporate, right?
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
And we have a hole for the in, and a hole for the out.
Yeah, we decompose, don't we, and evaporate into Hawking radiation.
So what does that tell you? It kind of lines it up right in line with the whole we are, we are the world, man.
That's a good point, actually. Okay, think of the fractal as above, so below correspondence to it. So what's the difference between a supermassive black hole at the center of a spiral galaxy
And us at the center of our
in
definition.
the macrocosm, right?
Yep.
How is that reconciled with the microcosm?
What do you think? I think. You know what I think.
What? Were you talking about the Anu?
Well, that's everything. Well, that's the same as us, I mean, we are the world, man.
Yeah, I know.
We are the center. The reason why there's a center in every one of us in our heart, or it's based out of our heart, the throne of God, or whatever you want to call it what you will, but it's connected to the one thing. That life that we have in us, the all spark, if you want to call it that, from the Transformer movies. We all have it.
So that's like the singularity within us.
Yes, we are in indestructible singularities.
Fuck, maybe that's it then. Maybe
right, yeah.
like our mind comes from a singularity within us.
Yes,
because it's the mental realm, isn't it?
Yes, that's
so
why
it's outside of time and space.
We're all receiving that one signal, and it depends on our perspective and what angle we view that consciousness or decipher it with the organ we have that we call a brain, is what determines whether or not we're going to be in line with it or we're going to, keep in the matrix to develop that way of thinking. Or, because I thought what I was thinking wasn't thought of, but it was already thought of because that thing had already been thought.
Hold on, you're gonna have to say that word salad again, Steve. I was trying to.
I was thinking the thought I was thinking was the original thought. That's a better way to put it. But there is no original thought. The thought that I was thinking was already thought of before. And I just received that thought because I was more in line with that way of thinking. It's like frequency or resonance or,
Yes, it's tuning in.
Right. And your vibrational concept. And that's what, like in Ptah when they're talking about, you have to be in that vibrational modality in order to survive that way of life. Otherwise you will be, cast upon the rocks and torn asunder.
Well, here's one thing, actually. There is from movies like The Matrix and our advancing computing technology, in terms of computing and engineering, you have to quantize the real world into a digital world to process it with
Hey, Maya L brings up a good point, dude. You ever stare in your eyeballs into a mirror? You ever look into your pupils? Those are black holes, dude.
Yeah, that is yeah.
They
so,
are.
so black, like can't escape.
And that's
Kind of.
perfect, my L. That's exactly what I was thinking.
So
Perfect.
why are
Because
there two of them then?
the observer, that's the observer, the observable, and the observed. Right there, the triune. You know, and that's the cone as well, because our vision is a cone that crosses in our, through our visual cortex and is read on the opposite upside down. You know, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I always wondered about that. It's
Yeah.
like apparently our brain flips the image, but yeah. Hold on, what were we talking about? I was talking about something,
Sorry,
and
bro.
then
I
I
seen
can't
that comment. I
remember.
had to.
I was so yeah. So like, if let's just take it back a few steps. Let me kind of re-navigate our bearings.
All
So we
right.
were talking about how with the microcosm and the macrocosm, the fractal law of correspondence, as above, so below. Okay, where does the supermassive galactic black hole coincide with the inner black hole in the microcosm, right? And then we started talking about the Anu, the mind coming through that, whether it's in your, and like, that's the thing. It's like, where the fuck is it? Like, where is it physically? But like, it's kind of like nowhere because it's singularity.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's as physics describes it, is where time and space break down.
Yes.
So it has this
What if we are
nothingness.
the means in which the cosmos is braked or pulled back in? You know what I mean? Instead of expanding, what if it's maybe just one person? Maybe, who knows? You know what I'm saying?
What if once, when half all souls have completed the great work, it starts to pull back in?
Yeah,
I
something like
don't
that.
know.
Yeah.
It
And
seems like,
I've always wanted to. I've asked Phil a question close to that before, and he answered it in that one video that he made. But he he uh, he reminded me that there is a loop to creation, and
yes,
he
yes.
stopped short right there. And and I don't know why that is, but it makes sense because there's a loop to everything. So that's how we
Yeah, but it
started.
depends. But then also it begs the question, all right, so like who or what is the point of reference? So Phil's closing of the loop of creation is with reference to him,
Right.
his
He's
journey.
the center of his definition. Yes.
Right. So for you or I or people in the chat, there's a different point of reference, although
Yes.
that point of reference is kind of with respect to God anyway and the triune.
Yes.
But I see
Because we're observers of observing the observable as well.
see now we're in the idea of polarity between the many and the one, which
Well,
brings us back
that
to the
would take
one.
for us to exist.
It's see here see, this is what I was talking about, invisible, on this list that I was reading earlier in the Book of John, or Secret Book of John. It is invisible since nothing has seen it, which is interesting. Although I guess Phil might say that's not entirely true. However, you don't see that absolute. He said he became aware of an infinite garden, but he didn't see it. And in that infinite garden, God was present everywhere. But he doesn't say that he saw an infinite garden. He was aware of it mentally, which is very
What does that say to
interesting.
you?
Yeah. Here it's unutterable since nothing could comprehend it to utter it. Unnameable since there is nothing before it to give it a name. See, I always thought that was true because there's a maxim in law that says that which has no name does not exist. So if you end up in court and you just don't give a name and they can't figure out your name, they can't do shit. That's actually a real thing. You don't give legal joinder in court. You don't give your name or your address. So like, they don't have, you're a floating point reference, so you can't be under their jurisdiction at that point. And this is the thing, because you're embodying God being unnameable, which is the true sovereign above everything. So this douchebag judge with his wig in the court can't do shit.
How far will that get you in court, though?
Hey, man, how far do you believe it within you, man?
How far will that get you in court?
In that minefield of a courtroom, you got to be like, look, judge.
In cuffs quicker than.
Hey, man, there's a fine line between grandiosity and humility. So
this is true.
There's not really a fine line. There's a gaping chasm between it, but I'm just saying it as a figure of speech. So anyway, yeah, unnameable, since there is no one to give it a name. The one.
Okay, now listen to this. Black Wolf. This is feeding into. Sorry, I got to cut you off here. Polytheism makes more sense. This one ultimate lonely being is absurd. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I get the polytheism, but you can't escape the polarity between the one and the many. There's no escape from that. From the singular to the infinite, with the singular is in the one, to the infinite as the many, which is, I guess, reconciled through the singularity, you know. So there's no escaping it, really. I mean, I think maybe God was lonely. That's why he created an infinite number of, but it's a triune relationship, isn't it, between the three? I don't know if that explanation suffices, Black Love.
God is not something that's outside of us, guys. God is not something that is up in the sky that we have to worship. God is everything, man.
It goes on
from your pencil to your laptop to your, every inanimate object, every animate object, everything is God. That's what I was getting at about the car thing when I was talking about the car. How I drive a piece of junk that was given to me, and everybody else is driving around in these whips that are,
You don't care about the corruptibility of your car, do you?
Well, see, what's the corruptibility of my car? What does it matter?
Maybe this is it. People unconsciously keep buying a new car every 3-4 years because they're unconsciously trying to follow the incorruptible essence of God.
Yeah, okay,
they're not doing it. But by buying a fucking new car,
fill in the void. Fill in the void, right?
Yeah.
Like people do it with females or males or codependency or drug addiction or alcoholism,
or schizophrenia,
anything,
whatever.
Anything that's going to keep your mind racing for contentment, for contempt, or for contentment, to be content, because all we do is create contempt.
There's more to this list. There's loads more to this list. I'll keep reading it because it's so good. So the one is the immeasurable light, pure, holy, and immaculate. It is unutterable and is perfect in incorruptibility. Not that it is just perfection or blessedness or divinity, it is much greater. I mean, that's quite a heavy statement. So, well, Liz is back in the chat under the Velociraptors. Just let her babble on. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a what's it called? Anyway, Steve, ignore her. Let's go on with the one. It's much more interesting than her bullshit. So the one is not corporeal, and it is not incorporeal. Well, how about that, Steve? Stay with me.
No, I am. I'm reading.
Stay with me. Don't look at the chat. Stay while she's in there.
Sorry,
fucking going off on one. Just ignore her. No offense, but it's the best thing to do.
I was on a different irrational thought from somebody else about poop.
Oh, and what was that then?
About thoughts, but go ahead.
So yeah, it's not corporeal and it is not incorporeal. It is not large and it is not small. It is impossible to say how much is it. As much as they'd like to put a value. How much for God? I got $20 here. In God we trust. It even says in God we trust on the dollar, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. But there's ultimate reminders to our sovereignty in the eye and the triangle, and everybody thinks it's the opposite.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I'm saying? Isn't that crazy how that is right there in everybody's face and everybody thinks it's something negative? Well, it's the beholder, but I mean, you know, it's truth.
Yeah. I mean, it is, but people just don't generally trust the government or banks.
Well, that doesn't matter. That's the point I'm trying to make here is that.
No, I know your point.
Scam in your mind could be the biggest truth in someone else's.
What, the dollar?
The eye and the triangle on the dollar.
It's highly Masonic and esoteric.
Well, it doesn't matter what it is. The symbol in itself means the creator, our pineal gland. The center of
the creator.
Huh?
But not God.
Not God.
Not God, but the creator of the cosmic seed.
Yes, the progenitor to us, which we progenit. You know, we're the progeny and the product. Right?
That's it. Yeah.
And in the dollar bill encompasses that in essence. If you really get down to the brass tacks of it, because money right now in this world is causing the cogs to move as far as money goes.
Yeah.
Materialism.
I mean, it goes on. There's not that much more, Steve, but it goes on. It says, the one is not among the things that exist, but it is much greater. Not that it is greater, rather, as it is in itself, it is not part of the aeons or time. I mean, yeah, that's quite an interesting statement right there.
That's the zero. That's the zero, dude.
Oh no, is it the one? No. It's talking about the one, though. So the one is not among the things that exist, but it is much greater. So yeah, this is definitely not the zero or the infinity. This is definitely referring to one.
Oh, the whole.
The one.
The black hole.
No, not the black hole.
I'm kidding, dude.
The infinite garden beyond the black hole.
WHOL.
Yeah, time was not allotted to it, since it receives nothing from anyone. What would be received would be on loan. So if you get so you can loan God something, apparently. You can loan God $20 and then he'll pay you back.
Or you could think you're
if you give something,
put it in a donation plate.
Or maybe it works in the other way around. Maybe God loans us something that we eventually give back to God. That kind of makes more sense.
Well, I don't know. That maybe we are
two ways.
Our bodies are like my car that I was talking about.
See, here we go. You can do business with God. This is what the Fed were on about when they put in God we trust. I'm only dicking around, man. I'm only joking, but
no, make any correlation you'd like. I don't care, because whatever we're talking about doesn't change what everything is.
Well, here's an interesting statement. The one is majestic and has an immeasurable purity. That's interesting.
And everything you've said so far means it's ineffable.
Yeah, this is all synonyms of ineffable. Although it doesn't say ineffable here. What it does say, it says, the one is a realm that gives a realm, life that gives life. It is the head of all realms, and it is the one who sustains them through its goodness. Then at the end it says your word. We would not know what is ineffable. We would not understand what is immeasurable were it not for the one who has come from the Father. All right, so there you go. There's suddenly zero with the logos as the condition at the center of it come in. So yeah, very interesting.
Where is the logos born, Jack? Where's the logos born? In Bethlehem, correct?
All right, yeah. Okay, so Jesus is born in Bethlehem, which means house of bread. Okay. Which is synonymous with the journey of the sun through the day, which
Yes.
is where we get Deus, which is the Latin word for God.
Yes.
So it's at the peak at 12 o'clock.
And what is that? What is that?
Which is why the sun. I mean, they even call enlightenment illumination. I mean, the sun illuminates anyway, you know.
But don't go Akhenaten on us and go thinking the physical sun is the internal sun.
Hey man, I the only thing I ever read about Akhenaten was what Manly P. Hall wrote about him, and he painted this very different picture to what the History Channel did. So I don't know. I need to study up more on Akhenaten.
I just seen another program on Akhenaten and his daughters, and all of it, his whole family died, one right after another. You know, and they blamed it on a plague.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think that's the case. I think, did you know? So now, do you know the history? I'm not even going to bring that up because it's too convoluted.
Go on.
Effing the Ineffable again, guys.
Effing the Ineffable. Who said that?
The Native Americans wouldn't have their pictures taken for the longest, saying it was the work of the devil. I'm with that.
Oh, that was a point. I was listening to an audio book because I was reading this book, the Secret Book of John, and I was listening to an audio book when I was driving as well. But I looked at the comments on YouTube, and there were some Christians in there going, "This is fake. This is the devil deceiving. This is not the real Gospel of John." And I'm just like, "Oh, Jesus Christ! Why? Please beam me up, Scotty."
Beam me up, Scotty. This planet sucks.
No, it's not the planet. Well, yeah. I think you find any planet would suck due to the corruptibility.
But what you were talking about earlier about how what determines your development in the womb and how closer you are to let's say perfection, just like in the house of bread, the meaning is that if you through good intent and wisdom and wise doing and faith, your spiritual journey will coalesce into something atonable.
Yeah.
Or, you know.
Okay, well let's secularize that, what you posit, and go to human biology. So typically it's 46 weeks, 9 months, the gestation period of a human baby in the womb. Now, thinking in this in a kind of purely secular way, it's just time, isn't it, for the baby, for like it to complete its formation in the womb until it's actually born. And yes, you can have late births and premature births, obviously, but there's a standard deviation there, isn't it? So
yeah, and how we are molded from a block of ego and id or persona, or you know how we develop this way of thinking what things are, and we have to abandon it.
Are you talking about the intellect?
Eventually. You know what I mean? If because we build that ego was forced upon us at the age of 7, I think, is when we start building it, or maybe a little sooner than that.
Probably sooner than that. You probably
But
start
that's when I
building it.
remember when I stopped having the energy dreams and the I don't know, the feeling of exuberance in me. You know what I mean? Like there's it's
That's
just fun.
the age where the world turns into a cold, dark place. at the age of
Yes,
7.
that
You realize you're at school and you're like, hold on, what the hell's this?
yes. And how
That's almost like,
but I'm not going down the road of, this is we're being programmed and this and that. I'm not saying that. We do
you're just
that.
talking about loss of
That is a
childhood
must.
innocence.
That is a must, because we have to build this temple of what false idols and whatever it is. And if we can't see it when all else fails and that void never gets filled, then it's not worth it. You've lived your life in vain, but you're still going to come back again and have a chance to get to that point again. You know what I'm saying? And I think my whole 333 thing in life, and how it always popped up for me, and how everything is lined up for me in my cosmic journey, how I've met you, I've met Phil, I've met everybody in chat, been doing this YouTube thing. I mean, it started out as me as a sky watcher, dude, as somebody that was filming the sky looking for a planet, bro. And look at where I'm at today with my line of thinking. Is that, and some people would say, well, now you're crazier than you were then, thinking Nibiru was coming.
Oh, actually, talking of Nibiru, something came up on my feed when I was flicking through my phone on break. Like Google stories come up and shit when you open your browser when you're smoking in your car on break. And it was like the story was why it made me laugh so much. It said why scientists and astronomers still can't find Planet X despite its enormous size. And I'm going, what the hell? Like this, it's
due to the perturbations.
The myth has been secularized. The myth had been secularized. It's very funny.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's very funny to me now when I see a myth being secularized and people like Bill Nye using logic
and it's
to prove
like
that it was bullshit. It's like, dude, huh?
Right? Isn't that who they refer to every time?
Well, Bill Nye.
Yeah, Planet Nine. Sebastian Badigan or whatever his name is.
No, I don't know who that is.
He's Planet Killer's Pluto Killer's crony or underling.
The fuck is Pluto Killer?
that's what's his name, the guy who deplatformed Pluto or made him
what, the scientists who said
the physicist.
Have you seen the Rick and Morty about the planet Pluto?
No, I haven't. But Pluto was a big part of my journey, man.
It's like Jerry gets teleported to Pluto, and he's like, no, he's like saying how Pluto's a planet and it's bullshit. So what happens? Some Plutonian elites, because he's so adamant it's a planet, teleport him against his will to Pluto to give a big speech to the people. So it's brilliant. It's so funny.
But Pluto was the moment when Pluto's information came to me. It was that Godhead hieroglyph of the ancient Egyptians, where it showed the light being born and the logos being born in our mind, with Nephthys and Isis sitting face to face on the eyes. Remember?
Right.
Hello. Are you there?
Hello. I'm here.
Place for X is a starting place for digging deeper. Yes, and it's amazing to me because I've caught so many quote unquote UFOs or anomalies. Like on my channel, I have the Sunrunner offshoot video that was me knowing something was going to be there while I was driving home I had a broken finger at the time because I just broke it on my jet ski by slipping on my seat. And I looked to my right and I seen the sun setting and I said, I got to stop. I took out my phone, turned it on camera, and all of a sudden that footage came. I was there for 45 seconds and I left.
Mm.
And I followed this light with, and normally I didn't see anomalies on my videos until I rewatched them and edited them for YouTube,
Mm.
but
That's
it's weird
interesting.
how these things I filmed for 4.5 years or 4 years, this guy,
You never
just
found
knowing
Planet
that there's
X?
something there, but never caught anything but what I just described. Things like that, like a caveman kissing a fish in the clouds, the clouds in the form of those two particular images, and a couple other UFOs that I couldn't describe or explain or put anything to them, but just weird things.
Mm.
And what is that? That in
Yeah,
my journey is my way of getting me to where I am today.
I gotta be honest. I see when I lived in England, I never saw anything weird in the sky apart from the odd shooting star. I see loads of weird shit in the sky living where I do now in America. Like, for some reason, if aliens want to come to Earth, they have to land in America. They have to.
Well, they probably got an open pass, man.
And again, like, you had all the crop circles back home, you had all the mutilated cows and stuff like that.
See, what I'm getting at here is that all of that crazy stuff in the sky that we film, and we know, like that Sunrunner offshoot video I have, and I knew it was going to be there, or just had this feeling that I had to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Those instances, maybe they're manifested by us individually that film it.
Yeah, I've heard a theory that, like, you can communicate with ETs telepathically to the point where they'll, like, show themselves.
That's what that Phil Kinsella said when we were interviewing.
Even fucking a few weeks ago, I don't know if I told you this on this chat, or I told you this on a chat. I was smoking a cigarette just outside my door here, and I saw this really low flying pink orb that looked like it was really low altitude, coming right across my head, and it was like pink or like kind of violet, pinky violet, magenta. And I was like, what the hell is that? And it was going slow, and then boom, it just like took off at like basically infinite acceleration or near infinite acceleration. It was really strange.
Do you see strange like flashes in the corner of your eyes in your house, or just when you're alone, or
what, like floaters?
No, just like weird.
I used to see
I don't
when
know
I
how
used
to
to
explain it, dude.
I used to see those, but when I stopped smoking weed, I didn't see them anymore. No, I'm serious. It actually happened to the point where I'd be sitting in a room with people when I was at college, and my eyes would start following this like small black orb moving across the room, and everyone would look at me going, what the fuck are you looking at?
No, I'm not saying that the things that I look at and stare at or it's just, I don't know. I've had some weird things happen to me in my life. Like, I knew I was going to be in a car accident. I had this feeling that something was going to happen, impending. And like today, when you called me, 5 minutes before you called me, I was saying, I wonder when Jack's going to call me. I'm serious. Dude.
Yeah, I kind of, it was kind of automatic that I called you. I just was kind of in a good mood, and it's only fucking Monday night during the week, so it's like, oh,
right.
Cool, Steve.
We don't normally do this on Monday.
No. We've strayed from whatever we were talking about in mysticism, but it's interesting just to see.
But I think everything we talk about is in line with it, because that in essence is all I think about, or not in a literal sense. I mean, in a uh, all-encompassing manner. That I think that's what we need to get back to, is what our true purpose in this life is for. It's not to chase a carrot. It's not to end the chaos, or it's not to save the world. It's to
Yeah,
realize that creation is creation, and creation will eat you up, gobble you up, shit you out, and leave you for dead. But what else is there?
that's a good point, actually. Going back to what you were saying about being a 7-year-old and the kind of
Mhm.
the childhood strengthening of ego and id, as you said. It's like, you know, you can only remain in that innocent state of childhood for so long, because you've got like the physical elements, you're going to have to deal with them. You know, it's all right when you're a child, you've got parents that are dealing with them for you, but they can't deal with them for you forever. So, because you
Yeah,
did
because the
question
midlife
that earlier, I
crisis.
think that's maybe why, like the demiurge or Yaldabaoth is calling and he's going to fuck you up. So you got to snap out of that innocence. And I guess that's the realization of being naked in the Garden of Eden, you know?
Bingo. Yep.
Damn.
Eating
Talking
from the
about
tree
God.
of knowledge of good and evil. Yes.
Oh God. I was looking at the lovers card in the tarot, the Rider Waite one the other day. Oh God. And it came to me what it meant, because you have you know the card, right? I could go and get it, but yeah. Actually, whatever, I'll go and get it.
Uh, Omar says there is nothing all-encompassing. What that was I saying all-encompassing about? What was I referring to? But God isn't something that controls us. This life is what we do with it. God, it has nothing to do with this decisions we have in life, except for, okay, think of it as God waiting in a lonely closet somewhere off in the corner, waiting for you to open the door. I don't know what you want to think of God as, but
Mm.
God has nothing to do with the choices I make, unless I put my faith in my true self, which is God. Then I'll make the right decisions. If I can live up to myself. I don't know how else to say it to people without sounding crazy. You know, God is not something outside of us, guys.
So
God is not
see,
some being in
see
the
this
sky
card.
with a fucking beard.
See this
Huh?
one, right? The lovers, right?
What
So
number
you've
is
got
that?
number 4. So you got the Archangel Raphael, and then Adam and Eve, a mountain behind the cloud. There's 2 trees. There's one where the tree is, this is the Rider Waite, where the tree has 12 bits of bush that are burning. It's number 12. And then you've got the snake that, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil, right? But the point is, this card has absolutely nothing, Steve, and I mean nothing, to do with like an earthly romantic relationship
No,
at all. It's got absolutely nothing to do with that. It's more like
it's
it's
showing you reality and what our true purpose is on that card itself.
it basically shows reality in its entirety.
Yes.
So you've got Adam, the light, or the demiurge, or the divine child, whatever, logos. You've got Eve, the cosmos, and you could say that Raphael is kind of representing the Holy Spirit, and then you've got the sun at the top, so it's showing the illumination aspect of it. So this is really a card of illumination. I guess you could say it's the divine chemical wedding to a
Is it
degree.
coincidence that it's a number 4 too?
Um, Probably not. Probably no coincidence. There's another card actually. Now I've here with the tarot. that I want to talk about because it's a great card. It encapsulates the whole of reality in the card. There's this card. You know what this card represents? The moon.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the card of psychosis. This is what this card means. No, it is.
It's a reflection of our inner, yeah.
No, honestly, because like the two pillars in this card, they're not black and white anymore. They're both grey. So there's been a blending together of the conscious and the subconscious. So there's no differentiation,
Yes.
which is psychotic. And you got the dogs howling in the full moon, these creepy crawlies coming out of the waters of the abyss.
It's man's propensity to convolute things is what that card means.
This is not a good card. That's like I'm looking for this card though, and I'll you know, this is another good card as well. Look, there's so many of these tarot cards correspond to illumination. So this is the Four of Swords. Huh?
Every one of them does.
To some way, to some degree, yeah.
It describes an aspect of our
But
it, right?
in this card, right?
I can't see what's up in the window or whatever.
It's like Mary and the Divine Child. It's like Mary and
nice.
Jesus.
So it's representing the cosmos or the
yeah. And you got the 3 swords, which is like the triune.
Yes.
And then the 4th state, and this guy's dead, and he's in a golden to represent the sun and the illumination sarcophagus. So this guy died illuminated, and there's the 3 aspects of God, and then he claimed the 4th in his life, illuminated.
What number is that one? 6, 7?
It's a 4. The 4 of Swords. So again, it's a 4. How did we end up looking at tarot?
No. Explain the tarot then. I thought each card had one number up to a certain number, and then it starts over again.
So you got the aces, then the deuces, 3s, 4s, etc., up to the 10s. And then, but instead, like playing cards.
But how many cards are in each one then?
In each deck? Well, not like playing cards aces. Where there's not
so
13.
There's 4 suits in each one?
Yeah, 4 suits.
Oh, okay. I got it now.
So,
but I mean, isn't there a base tarot deck with just so many cards?
You got the minor arcana, which is like a playing card deck, except there's one extra card in the court cards because you've got in playing cards you've got Jack, Queen, and King, whereas in the tarot minor arcana you've got Page, Knight, Queen, and King. So there's an extra card. So there's 14 in each deck rather than 13 in playing cards. So that gives you a total of 76.
Wow.
Then no, 56. My math is off. But yes, this is the card. This is the card I was looking for. And it's like, sorry, I just dropped freaking cards everywhere. Okay, this is the card I was looking for. Strength. The Strength card. So that is depicting Sophia and Yaldabaoth.
Is that
right.
what?
So that's
what's on top of the lion?
That's a woman, and she's taming the lion. She's tamed the beast. So that's Sophia, and that's Yaldabaoth.
Yeah,
and
but isn't there something on top of the lion? I can't see it, dude. No, you got it too low.
What about
there? Oh, now I see it. Yep. Okay.
So that's the lion, Yaldabaoth, and Sophia, who is kind of taming it. So that's basically you when you're Sophia and you tame the beast or the Logos. And then you got this infinite, like, if you look, Steve, you got this infinite yellow sky in the background.
And you got the infinity symbol there.
Yeah. So this card depicts the nature of reality symbolically in totality as much as it can in an image.
Does every one of those cards have a mountain in the background?
No. Some of them do, some of them don't.
So what did the blue mountain in that one represent?
What did the blue mountain represent?
In that one, yeah.
Well, the mountain is usually symbolic of
I know what the mountain is, mountain of God or a mountain of creation. But
the mountain really pertains to the logos. The summit is the logos, the summit of knowledge, the summit of the mountain. See what I mean?
or the journey to the logos.
The ascent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yodeling. Yodeling, you're right.
Yeah, yodeling up the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So show me the fool in your deck.
Where is it? I don't know where it is. I'm flicking through it as quickly as possible, trying to find it. But you see, you have to remember, some of these cards have absolutely awful meanings. The New Age tarot websites are totally shit, where they try and give like the best like airy-fairy definition, and they tangle it and twist it to make it sound positive because of the tarot industry. You wouldn't go and see
the true tarot though is neither good or bad, right?
No. It has all. It has both extremes of polarity and all the varying in between.
Well, doesn't it depend on what your point of perspective of view of that card is in order to?
Yes and no. Yes and no. Like this card, right, is the 10 of Swords.
Yeah.
All right. This is like the tree of. You got the 10, which is 10 Sephiroth,
The Sephiroth
killing you. So this is like mortal death. You know, this is a bad card. Like
you're gonna die anyway.
And this is reminding you of that. You know?
So why is it bad?
Okay, yes, it does depend on perspective, but no, I'm serious. Some of these cards are shit. To a degree, though, you can't take liberties with that. Like, you know, really, you have to like just like this card, 8 of Cups. The dude's walking away from his 8 cups, so he's like abandoning the great work. This guy. So he's going back.
He's gotten to
this guy was on the great work,
yes,
right? He was on the great work, and he got bored, and it was too much chore and difficult, and it was too much toil and hardship and path of least resistance. So he's going back to the automatic. He's trying to go from the Nefesh to the Ruach, and then he's given up and going back down to the Nefesh and the automatic cycle.
Is he going back into water right there? Is that what he's in?
No, he's next to the water. He's on the dry land. And it's a waning moon as well. So it's.
What does a waning moon mean?
Waning is usually synonymous with something decreasing, whereas waxing is increasing.
Wax on, wax off. Just like Mr. Miyagi.
This turned into a tarot video, man. So, like, here's another bad one. The Devil. Oh, I dropped it. Devil. That's not necessarily a good card. That can say, like, your morals are skewed and you're a piece of that. You could be the devil in that card. You know,
we all have the devil in us, just like we all have God in us.
It's true.
Isn't that the battle that's within between good and evil?
Here's this card. It's like there's 3 cups, right? It says the triune. Spirit's trying to give him the 4th cup, which would be the Logos, completion of the great work. And the dude's sitting under the tree and he's like, nah, I don't want it. Fuck you, God.
See, now when I seen that card before you gave a description, I thought to myself, that is showing me how we create that cloud in the timelessness through the moment of time that is the 4th.
Okay, well, you could say he's actually meditating, focused on stillness, meditating under the tree. That's why he's in like a lotus position. So the Spirit's giving him the 4th condition beyond triune.
And what is he sitting on? A mound. Next to a tree.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And it just shows you perspective, man. And I think that is what truly our free will is what we perceive is what is, or is it what we make it to be?
Well, this is the ultimate human superpower, is the ability to restructure your own mind.
Yes,
You can structure
come
your
into this
mind in any way you want.
desires.
Then again, I'd say there are limits to that, because you still
Well, there's
have to deal
tons of limits to it, because I mean, we can't just think up things and they become, you know, there's steps you have to take when you think a thought and you want it to come to fruition in the physical world. But there is something to be said about, you know, the law of attraction and all that shit. But I mean, it's not like you're gonna attract a Lamborghini because you're at the Lamborghini vibrational nexus. You know,
I'm not vibrating at the resonant
right.
frequency of a
But that, you know, that
Lamborghini
was just
at all.
but you know what I'm saying. The whole,
I mean, it would be a cool experience to drive one for fun, but I can't be. But I don't care about a Lamborghini.
neither do I. Neither do I. But the point we're trying to make here is that, you know, we on this journey, Thoth brought up something earlier that I wanted to say at the time, but this is what I always go back to. If everything was hunky-dory, unicorns and rainbows, what would give you the ambition to look for anything to fix anything? You know, if you were content, utopia, living the life in the lap of luxury, whatever you want to call it, and everything was happy, what would stir you to look deeper? Nothing. So what is it about chaos in our world that right now that is causing so many to look inward or look in a different place? You know, why is it that every society disappears, every culture disappears, everyone,
There's only one explanation.
every one of them? So if there is a constant loop, what brings the concept of eternity into it? That's what you got to figure out. That's what I got to figure out. You know, that's what I'm stuck on right there, is what is it? Well, I'm not stuck on it. You know, I contemplate it a lot, is what I'm saying. You know, and if we have thoughts of grandiosity, or you know, our shit don't stink, or I'm better than you, or you're worse off than me, or you're better than me, or this or that, it messes with our true purpose. You know, you can go down every freaking rabbit hole you want, and you're always going to end up with a big fat hole to go down again. Every one of them will bring you to another hole. And why is that? Why is it when you view your own live stream while you're live streaming it, you get the hysteresis loop? You know, why is it? You look at the Mandelbrot set. Why is that? You know, why? And you can never answer the questions. Why is that?
Hey, this is where you're in the realm of what's immeasurable.
Yes.
If you keep trying to measure that which is immeasurable without realizing its immeasurability, then that's a fucking rabbit hole right there.
Right there. The biggest something comes from nothing. That's the biggest rabbit hole ever. On this blank piece of paper, where there's nothing, everything is.
But it ends with certainty, though.
Well, what certainty?
That's the point. That's the point. Like, you could, if you're going for the rabbit hole of all rabbit holes, like the most prestigious rabbit hole, that actually ends in certainty to a degree, right? However, it's still immeasurable. So, yeah, maybe we should leave it there. That's a nice little segue into a nice little conclusion. Right. But fucking hell, it's late. It's late where you are.
Also within me, and you are me, and I am you. So hey,
you got work in the morning.
Like we're in the big happy zoo.
You got work in the morning, Steve.
Yes, I got to drive another hour and a half back up to
Oh, you got that same drive. How long you been
Yeah.
doing that drive for?
just today and tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll be done tomorrow.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I'm gonna get going because I got work in the morning. So yeah.
Yeah, it's already midnight here.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks everybody for joining us.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. That was quite a lucid chat.
Hey, Thoth, what did you have surgery on? What the hell? Taxes and death, the only certainties. This is true. But, I'm not even going to say it because I'd be self-incriminating myself right now. So I plead the fifth on the taxes. Thoth says exactly what I just said in a different way. You don't have to pay. Oh, that sucks. Get your perennials first. They will get established as soon as possible. The gallbladder from, oh yeah, I remember now. It still hurts, dude? Hi, Leah. Lots of people in prison are homeless. They don't pay taxes. Knowing Thoth, he got
They
a,
pay with something much worse though.
yeah, they pay. All right.
They're paying with literally their time.
Yeah. Crystal Clear is having a lightning storm. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. I don't do this for money, neither does Jack. I don't get paid for any of this, and I'm not asking for money. I'm just doing this like in the description of this video where it says, well, in the original one, that is, it says, with this clay, I will build my pyramid. And I owe that little line right there to Phil because it makes perfect sense. We take our clay, which is information, we put it together, and eventually it will lead us to the one point of truth, the capstone, and what better way to build this pyramid and gather information than with people like you guys and everybody who's joined us. So I do this for,
We do it for fun, Steve. That's why we do it.
well, fun in learning, man. I mean, if I wouldn't have had the opportunity to get on YouTube and have talks with people, I would have never have met any of you, and I would not be who I am today. Because without you, who am I? And I'm not just blowing smoke up anybody's skirt. I mean, everybody I interact with, I've learned from, and I appreciate every one of you. And I'm not kissing your asses. I'm just saying thank you. And live inward, love outward, and nothing will faze us, folks. I mean, we are the definers of our own universes. We are the observer observing the observable. And if we throw a monkey wrench into that observation, that's on us. That's not on anybody else. That's on us. We can't blame anybody else but ourselves for our thoughts. Right?
That's if you can take accountability. Some people can't take accountability because they're fucking mental. But anyway, that's a different topic altogether. But yeah, all right, Steve. I'm gonna get going. I'm gonna get some sleep. But
all right, love, peace,
all right, guys. Thanks. I enjoyed this. It was a good one.
Yeah, you too, brother.
Take care, man. Bye.
But I want to say thanks, Thoth. Thanks, Delaney. Thanks, Black Love. Them chicken bones tell the future. Thanks, Thoth. Kill a Priest. Yeah, I have watched some of or listened to some of it, and I do like some of it. It's refreshing to have rappers talk about good things in songs. They don't necessarily sound like they are talking about good things until you hear the words or the message that they're saying. And I like that because you have to listen to the lyrics. And most rappers just throw in the hoochies and the guns and the dope and the money just to get clickbait views. And that not what is wrong with our way of thinking these days. So I appreciate that. Cheers to you, Menza. I did it all. I'll take the blame, right? Love that. Jenny Simon, thank you. Yeah, the pyramids were built with geopolymer concrete. Some of it, anyways, of course, it was. Very well could be. But I mean, in an esoteric way or a spiritual way, I will build this pyramid. Yeah, from this clay, I will build this pyramid means I will take all of my life experience, all of my input, define it, discern it, and it eventually makes bricks out of the clay, the info. The information, when molded, formed, make bricks. And those bricks, your understanding, your proportion, if you will, start coming together and forming a pyramid. Because the more information you discern and understand, it brings you to the one point of truth, because you realize that everything we see, everything we experience is upon us to define and understand. And eventually it brings us to the truth that everything, you, me, he, she, we are all one. The dogs, the animals, the earth, the planets, Kabbalah, Christianity, tarot, the Quran, Hinduism, Hindus, Jewish, Israelis, all of them, everything. And there's so many correlations we could go into about this and that and this and that. But in the end, we are all trying to fill a void in us. And if you're not admitting that to yourself, you're lying to yourself, because there's always something you want more of. That is the desire we are born with. The desire to want more or better. And that's what it makes us embark on our hero's journey, right? And without that journey, we would not define our single point or our pyramid. And when you put those bricks together, they give you something to measure the truth against, right? Right. And eventually you're capped with the understanding that all is one. So with this clay, I will build my pyramid. Clay is information, life experience, and anything that I experience is because of my input. And I appreciate everybody's input, and thank you for joining me. And I appreciate you on my journey. What's everybody talking about? They are just using molds, of course they were. I don't want another cat. One is enough. Check out the Geopolymer Institute. How would you know the difference without both balance? Right. There would be no way to define the light without the dark. The dark is born with the light, if you will, or the abyss is always there. The mental plane. The light is born in that abyss, which is within the one, so that's the triune, the brass tacks of the triune. But yeah, thanks, Black Love, Menza, Jenny, Delaney, Michelle Canyon Free was in the house for a while. Crystal Clear, thank you. Be safe there, Crystal, with the lightning storm. Melissa T, thank you. Be you in another life. I love you, honey. Thank you for joining us. All of you guys, thank you. And may the wind always be at your back. right? But don't get pushed over the edge.